Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisa Awkward. I'm the Director of Programming for the Connected Commerce Council. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for Learning Thursday, our online marketing for the holiday season webinar. Really excited to have Salil Gandhi from SBO Buzz join us today for this presentation. And I don't want to take up too much time because I've seen the presentation slides and there's a lot here. But I just wanted to, just a quick housekeeping, Q&As, questions for Salil. If you could just please put them in the Q&A section. And then if you could just let me know where you're tuning in from and put that in the chat. We'd love to know where you're joining us from today. Salil, I don't want to take up too much time just with chatter, so I'm going to turn it right over to you. Thank you so much for joining us, and you can take it away.
All right, thanks, Lisa. So, hey, everybody, my name is Salil. I am the founder of SBO Buzz and HCP Buzz. We are an online marketing agency for small business owners. We work in the healthcare space as well as helping small business owners in general. I'm also on the board of directors for Connected Commerce Council, so I'm really glad that they've given me an opportunity to kind of talk about online marketing specific to what's going on right now in the holiday season. So I'm going to jump right into it. If you, like Lisa said, if you have any questions, just please go ahead and add them into the queue. And Lisa, feel free, if there's a good point to jump in with questions, just throw them at my way. I'm absolutely good with that anytime. So what I really want to go through is like looking at small business in general. And, you know, when we're talking specifically about the holiday season, this particular holiday season, I think is just, it's crazy. It's different than any we've ever seen before. I want to talk about some of the different digital tools and safety nets that we have, what we're seeing as far as trends for this holiday season and online marketing in general. And then I want to go into how you can prepare your business and look at some different types of online marketing and social media strategies specific, not just to any particular industry, but maybe a little bit more thinking about the holiday season and this one in particular. So, when we look at 2020, it's really been crazy. I mean, who would have thought that this year, even 8 months ago, if you were wearing a mask going into a bank and asking for money, that would be okay. But if you were not wearing a mask and walking into Costco, you theoretically could get the cops called on you. I mean, it's crazy. And all of this has just really disrupted small business in general. COVID has been more than just interesting. It's been a hardship for myself, my business, almost all of my clients. As you can see, 93% of small businesses have been disrupted by COVID. If you haven't, I'm assuming you're basically in the mask business. So it's very likely that you're doing really well right now if you're in that kind of business. But otherwise, I think pretty much everyone else has felt the impact of what it's done for us. And it's caused issues in a lot of different sectors. And as a result, it's blunted what we've seen has just been the last decade of just fantastic economic growth and success. And, we're all feeling it, and we're all kind of trying to figure out what's the best way to go through this together. So, okay. So how are we all still around? And I think, when we look at things, there's been a lot of talk about the digital safety net and what different types of things that have been out there that have helped people pivot their businesses and adjust to being able to survive in today's world and make do with not being able to meet with people face to face. I think one of the greatest things that's happened in terms of this digital safety net is what we're on right now, Zoom, right? Before March, how many people had really used Zoom meetings? I mean, people in corporate America use them to meet with people and teams in other areas, but it wasn't a part of your daily life. It wasn't part of the actual culture of our country. And now it really is. Like, the word Zoom means something different now than it did in March. And so, these are the types of things when we're talking about digital tools that comprise a safety net. There's a lot of things that have transformed the way we're all doing business. And, I think one of the things that we can say that maybe something you can take as a silver lining from COVID is that it really has transformed our country and our small businesses into being more agile and looking at the internet and online options as a way to expand or change what their business can be. And in some cases, it's made a big impact. And it's not just, in digital companies. I mean, even restaurants and bookstores and all kinds of businesses have seen their identities shift with what these digital tools have been able to do for them. So, going into things, before COVID, people thought digital tools were important, but after COVID has kind of made its impact, almost 7 out of 10 businesses are saying that digital tools are now something that they really feel, even though it was important before, are now even more important. And 85% are looking and rethinking what their approach is to digital tools. When we look specifically at, small businesses and digital momentum, almost 3 in 4 are now using digital tools, and particularly video, like we're talking about right now with Zoom. This has been, a big factor in how things have kind of changed. As we look past what the country and what business will be like after COVID's gone, over more than half are still going to say that they're planning on using digital tools more after the pandemic. Now, what that means for the holiday season right now is there's a new playbook that businesses need to think about when they're looking at how to market their business or market their products and how to innovate and provide either services or get the message out about their businesses. And so let's talk a little bit about what that can look like. When we think about businesses, we kind of look at businesses as falling into one of 3 categories. As a business owner, are you a driver? Meaning you already consider digital tools to be something that's an essential component of your business and your online strategy. You were doing all these things before COVID hit. Are you a maintainer? Someone who had kind of more of a limited view and you kind of used some tools, but you really weren't, gung-ho and blasting into using all these different tools right away and right now? Or are you an adopter? You kind of saw the advantage, but maybe you're a little shy or squeamish about trying some of these things. What we're seeing is there is a distribution of how these people, how you can categorize yourself. And those people who are drivers obviously are faring better right now than the ones that haven't. So what we want to try to do is take people who are adopters and make them feel a little bit more comfortable and dabble their toe in the water and become maintainers, and for maintainers to become even more comfortable and become drivers. Our goal really is to have as many people understanding and what digital technologies are, what these digital tools are, and how they can implement them in their businesses, and really feel that that they add value and are easy. Because the reality is, I always tell my clients, all these digital tools are not hard. Nothing's hard. There's YouTube videos. There's ways you can learn about all these things, and you don't need to feel it's like it's a black box. There's ways to learn about everything, and we'll get into that. Interestingly, though, when we look at these 3 different types of strategies or types of business people, there's not really a correlation between where you're located. You can be urban, suburban, rural, and you see the same types of mix everywhere. So what we really want to talk about is just becoming more comfortable and learning and understanding that, as you become a digital driver, you can expect and realize bigger revenues for your business if you compare yourself to maintainers. And hopefully, being on this call, you're definitely not an adopter, because you do see the value of this and you're learning and you're trying to get more information about it. So hopefully we can help all of you become drivers and not just maintainers. So how is this holiday season really going to be different? What we're seeing is, rather than being a Cyber Monday and a Black Friday, we're seeing everything prolonged. The data that we're seeing says that US shoppers are starting earlier. And I think partially what came out of COVID is that people are scared that there's going to be a run on supplies, right? And gifts. We saw what happened with hand sanitizer and paper napkins and toilet paper and, so many other things. And, people are starting to shop earlier because they're worried that supply lines are going to be cut short and they may not be able to get gifts and things that they want to get for their loved ones. So that's something I think that everyone needs to be aware of. And if you haven't started thinking about what you want to do for the holiday season, now is definitely the time. We also are seeing that, I think in previous years, almost half people do expect retailers to be offering some kind of discount. And, one thing that I think is really important when you're looking at using keywords for different types of searches, best affordable is growing year over year as being a keyword component that you really should look at. When we look at Black Friday specifically, $70 billion this year. And we're looking at over 40% of shoppers that are going to be looking for brands, products, and different types of services from social media, not necessarily from their typical ads, right? So this is kind of a shift that we're seeing happening more and more. And I think this year, with people being held indoors, they're looking at these social media and other places where they're kind of held captive even more so than previous years. Where are they looking? Definitely Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter. What does this all mean in general? Start looking at social media as being a place to start where your advertising and your marketing kind of platforms and initiatives are going to begin, because that's where people are going to start their looking. And just realize that this year's season is going to be longer. It's not going to be a short, quick Black Friday, couple days, and look at the weekends, and hopefully that's kind of it. It's starting now, and it's going to last a lot longer. So what are we seeing in terms of behavior from shoppers? Definitely some newcomers to the market, with people shopping more from their home. They're expecting 69% of US shoppers to be doing things online this year, more than previous years. And with that, more first-time buyers. So if you haven't taken a look at updating your storefront and managing what your different platforms look like for where people can buy from you, do it. Take the time, work with your web developers, and see what you can do to make your storefront as effective and as welcoming as possible. Another thing to look at is 70% of US shoppers are now saying that they're going to browse for gifts ideas online, not in stores. So look at your SKUs. Make sure that you have things in Google Shopping listed properly. Optimize your online product catalogs. Make sure everything is the way it needs to be. And if you're offering services, make sure your services make sense for the current season. Make sure you're updating things. Update your websites. Update your service offerings on your Google My Business page. Wherever you need to, just make sure you have things as up to date as it needs to be, because Google and everything else does look at the recency and the level and the frequency of when you're making updates to kind of factor in how your search, how you're going to appear in search. So definitely take a look at all that stuff. I think it's really important to look at this third category, purpose-driven shoppers. One of the things that's been trending more the last couple of years, and even more so now, is that people really want to shop with businesses that have a stance or take a stance, and especially businesses that align to their specific value structure. So if you are a minority-owned business or a Black-owned business, be proud of it, highlight it, put it on your website, add it as an attribute in your Google My Business page. LGBTQ type businesses, definitely, again, make sure you're being very front and center about who you are, what you stand for, and what you're trying to accomplish. If you donate a portion of your proceeds from your business to a charity or a different cause, make sure you're talking about it in your social, on your page, on your business page, on your website, everywhere, because these are the things that people, and young people especially, are focused on when they're looking for businesses to buy from. This last point I think is really, really important. 70% of shoppers said that they were opening to buying from new retailers. And what does that mean? It's not all about Amazon. I know everyone always thinks, oh, everyone's just going to Amazon and buying, and that's kind of it. It's not the case. People are looking for something new and different, and they want a reason to not necessarily just buy everything from Amazon. Give it to them. Highlight who you are as a business, and it will take you far. So with that, when we're talking about creating a digital strategy specific to the holiday season, I think it's really important that we don't cast our net too big. I generally tend to recommend that you try to focus on what you're good at and where your customers have found you in the past. Start there and build from there. So definitely focus on whatever social platforms make sense for you and that you're comfortable with. If that's Facebook, great. Instagram, awesome. If you're not into Twitter, don't start now. Focus on what you know what you're doing. But then look at what you are doing and see if there's different things that you could do potentially in there that might improve or increase your bandwidth. For instance, with both Facebook and Instagram, they do have the ability for you to have things and products set up so that you can directly sell from there. There's Facebook Marketplace, there's shopping built into Facebook and Instagram now. You can you can add product placement pieces and storefront components to both of those. We'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a little bit. But then also with that, leverage what your customers have been saying about you and doing on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. retweet, share it, use it. And then hashtags. I've got a slide on this. We're going to talk about it in detail. But hashtags are an incredibly useful tool for your business and your products. So let's start there. What are hashtags? Hashtag. What are they? Basically, you're putting the pound symbol, you're using one word, no spaces, no punctuation. You want to include them in the context of what you're saying in your post or at the end of your post. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, they all allow for hashtags. They operate a little bit differently. I think one of the things that I tend to do when I'm thinking about how to use hashtags for my clients is I look to see what's trending with their own hashtags and what people are saying on their own pages. But then I also look at their competitors and I look at different keywords and things that are happening in general. If there's big companies or competitors or influencers and people who are in the industry or have, relevance that are using specific hashtags, use those hashtags. Like myself personally, I'm an underwater photographer. So when I'm posting on Instagram, I've looked up to see what some of the big underwater photography people, what their hashtags are. And I use those same hashtags. Why? Because that way it'll allow other people who are searching for those hashtags to have my information and my pictures and my thoughts come up in their feeds. So that's I think it's a really important way to get things across. And as a business, if Coca-Cola or a big company is using a specific hashtag and you piggyback onto it, hey, hijack it. It's all, everything's fair in love, war, and business. Use what other people have already created. You don't need to recreate the wheel. Trying to create your own hashtags and doing something that other people aren't doing is great for something local and small. But if you're trying to reach a bigger audience, leverage hashtags that other people have already used and are trending well, and you will be able to get your information out there on these platforms in a much more efficient manner. So getting prepared. So, we talked a little bit about this, but there's a lot of different ways you can prepare your business. There's a lot of tools out there. I wanted to just make sure that you have access to them. There's Moz, HubSpot. Neil Patel is a fantastic resource. He has blog posts that have incredibly great information. Google Ads blogs. If you don't know what you're doing with Google Ads, Lisa should be able to forward a link. We did have a previous presentation that I did with 3C that went into a little more detail with Google Ads and Google Analytics specifically. I'm not going to go into as much detail now. I want to talk more generally. WordStream, Search Engine Land, Content Market Institute, all these places are fantastic resources to learn about the different things you can do online. If you don't feel like reading, you can also just type in whatever it is you're looking for into Google, and you will find a plethora of experts who are more than happy to talk about all different things, how to do things, give you step-by-step instructional videos on how to do things. You can use these videos to fix your car. You can use these videos to fix your search engine optimization and help you create your Google ads and Facebook ads and everything else. So definitely use those things to build your foundation for what your business is and how you think you might be wanting to get your information across. Specifically, I think there are several tools that are available. Most of them are free. You can use them. They are great. And I highly recommend you integrate these into your website, into your marketing strategy before you spend any money on doing anything that's paid. Google Analytics is probably one of the most important tools you can have. It tells you who's coming to your website, what are they doing, how long are they staying on specific pages. You can set specific goals. You can figure out where they're coming from, whether it's from ads, whether it's from social. You can break down how the information is presented to you so you can see, how different categories of people are doing different things and where they're going and all kinds of stuff. It's amazing. Similarly, Google Search Console, something you should all be using for your websites and your brands. It drives the information about what people are searching for to get to your business. Really important, because that then you can use to drive your measurements and what you're doing for Google Ads. So take the information from Google Search Console, create your ads, and use the keywords from there and focus your thoughts and your energies effectively in that way. And in Google Ads, there's something called conversion tracking code. Make sure that gets installed into your website. If you're not tracking conversions from Google Ads into your website, you don't know how effective your campaigns are, and you don't know how much money you're actually generating. So I really think that it's probably the most important thing you can take away from here today. If you haven't done it, it doesn't matter if you're a service business, it doesn't matter if you're selling a product, or even just have a website that's just kind of like a consulting site. Anything and everything, you should be having your Google Ads tracked through conversion tracking. Similarly, Facebook also has that same type of tool. It's called a Facebook tracking pixel. You can get it when you're developing your ads in Facebook. For your website, if you have plugins for WordPress, if you're using WordPress, definitely use Yoast SEO. Great plugin that'll allow you to optimize your search engine optimization. Really useful tool. Also, Shopify has analytics and marketing if you have products and you're using Shopify. The list can go on and on, but really the message I want to get across is there's a lot of different tools that you can use to help you get and understand what it is that you are trying to accomplish and really set yourself up to measure success. If you're trying to do marketing of any kind, whether you're paying or not for those ads or whatever marketing you're doing, if you're not tracking it, you don't know what's going to happen, and you don't know what is defining your success, or is it happening the way you need it to. So that's kind of what I want to say there. Black Friday. I think that when we're talking about Black Friday particularly, we're at that point right now where hopefully you've started thinking about some of this stuff. If you haven't, I think this is a great time to start thinking about it. What products are you going to put on sale? How much are you going to discount it? And then ask yourself why. Why are we picking these specific products, and why are we discounting it? And how much are you discounting it? Tiffany, I'll get to your question in a minute. I saw it. I will get back to it. So when we talk about creating a means of tracking everything, I think it's really important to put together a spreadsheet, use Google Keep, something where you're organizing everything you're going to do, from your products to your marketing channels, to your actual price, your sale price, when things are going to go on and off sale, what hashtags you're going to use. You need to keep things organized. I personally find Google Sheets to be a great way to do it. Just create your columns, have your information there, and just organize things to see what's going on and when you're starting, when you're stopping, and check it and update it regularly. And this doesn't have to be something that you're just doing for Black Friday but in the holiday season, but you can keep this going the whole year round, and you can plan ahead. And that's, I think, really important when you're talking about social and when you're talking about just online marketing in general. When you're talking specifically about creating your campaigns, I really think it's important to do what I call A/B testing, or not I call, but that's called A/B testing. And in reality, I call it ABCDE testing. Throw everything at the wall. Try different images, try different ad concepts, use different keywords, use different calls to action. We saw for one of our clients, when they said call now versus call today, that resulted in a 3% difference in, I'll say the call now had a 3% improvement over the call today. Now, over the course of the campaign, that 3% turned into an extra 25 sales. And this is a company that had sales where each product was selling for, or each sale was $500 to $1,000. So we're talking about a big revenue change. Now, even if your product doesn't cost that much and your product is less, you don't know what's going to be the best solution until you start testing everything. So get started, try a lot of different things, and be ready, because there's a lot of different options out there, and you want to make sure that you're picking the best thing and you're on top of it and checking constantly. So I'm going to take a break right here before we start talking about what some of these platforms are. I want to take a quick look at the questions. So Tiffany's asking, so much information, I'm not sure where to start. Which platforms are easiest to navigate if you're new to this? So I think that there's if you're new to this, I'm going to go through some of these different platforms right now. I think the easiest platform for most people is probably going to be Facebook. It's very simple and straightforward for the most part. And there's a lot of different help videos if you're not sure about how to use things. So definitely look at Facebook. I'm going to go through setting up some of the things for Facebook. Now, Tiffany, I don't know if you're selling a service or a business or a product. I'm going to go into a little bit and give you some instructions on how to set up a Facebook store along with an Instagram store, and kind of talk a little bit about what exactly we're looking for in terms of Google. I see there's a little bit of chat stuff going on to see if there's anything there. Okay, so I'm good there. So let's get started here. So let me make sure I'm on the right stuff. Oh, went back. Okay, so Google Merchant Center is where I kind of want to start things. So I want to talk about a couple of different places on the internet. First being Google Merchant Center. This is important if you're selling products. This is where all your Google shopping campaigns kind of get optimized through. You want to make sure that all of your products come in here. It's the engine that runs everything. It's free. You can manage all your products for online sales, and you can also use it to power your online inventory. Now, when you're adding your products here, I'm not going to go into all the details here because we could spend 4 hours on this. And there's a lot of videos already out there that do this. Just do a search, you'll be able to find it. I just want to make note of a couple of things specific to the holiday season. First, product titles. Include your brand name, product name, colors, sizes, other variants. Put keywords at the beginning of your product title. Make sure it also matches what's actually on your website. So if you're making changes in Google Merchant Center, make those same changes to the product descriptions and information on your landing page of your website. If you're using Shopify, coordinate, make sure everything's the same on both platforms and make sure it's aligned. Images, make sure you're using the highest resolution possible. There is no such thing for images for your product as being too high resolution. If you can put a 50 gigabyte picture in there and have it 10,000 megapixels, I'd say do it. I know it's not, that's not, I'm being a little over the top there, but people do zoom in as much as they can. If you have pictures where you can show things from different sides, if you can rotate, do it as much as you can. Images are the key these days, almost as much as videos. If you can add videos to things, do that as well on your homepage of your web page, landing pages, things like that. Product description. This is really important because this is where SERP, your search engine results page information, is going to have be pulling from, even more so than your SKUs. So SKUs are going to be really important when you're looking competitor to competitor. But if you want your item to search and to come up in search when people are looking for a specific thing, it's highly unlikely they're going to be putting in a SKU. You want to make sure you have as much information in your product description as you can, so that when things pop up for Google search, you're up closer to the top. If you have it, include your GTIN, product category, custom labels, all these different types of product types, all these things, all they do is improve and organize your shopping feed. So do as much as you can, fill everything out as much as you can possibly in Google Merchant Center to make sure that you've optimized it for the holiday season and beyond. So I really want to take a look at what it is to build a Facebook shop. Now, Facebook has the ability now for you to be able to put your products for sale directly into your Facebook page/shop. So you need to create it. The next slide I have has a URL. It goes through step-by-step how you want to do this, but I wanted to take a second just to look at this. I blocked some of this stuff out. This is one of my clients that has a page up right now. So you can create products, add them into your Facebook shop. You can have a banner page, information. You can link it up to an Instagram shopping page if you want to, so that way everything's connected. This is a way to shorten the distance between customers who are finding you on social media and your business. So before they'd find you on social media, they'd have to click on your website, then they have to click on the products and blah, blah, blah. That's a lot of clicks. And as everyone knows, every time someone clicks, you're losing potential customers because people are going to drop off. So you want to make sure we're reducing the number of clicks to as few as possible and getting your products or your services in front of them as quickly and as easily as possible. So Facebook Shop is a great way to do that. You can do this and integrate it with your ads in Facebook. We'll talk a little bit about some more digital strategies for Facebook in a little bit, so I'm not going to get into it too much. Here's basically the step-by-step instructions on what you need to do to set up a Facebook shop. If you already have a Facebook page, great. What you need to do then is create a catalog in the same business manager. If you don't have a business manager set up yet, you can convert your Facebook page into business manager. It's not very hard. Again, there's quick, easy solutions and things, videos to find that, but you want to be able to do that. I think it's super important. You'll need to get to a commerce manager. I'm not going to go through all of this. There's a link at the bottom. You can kind of figure out how to do it. You want to make sure you set up your catalog, agree to everything. If you're going to have this thing set up so that you can make purchases directly, then that's another thing that you're going to want to be able to set up in your checkout section. You'll need to add up your business bank account. Payments can take up to 9 days there. So I think the turnaround time for money isn't necessarily as great as with other platforms, but because you're shortening that time between a person getting to your information from social to your website, I think it's worth the delays. Collections, again, really important. We've already talked about keeping your inventory up to date. One thing I put this last, stick to your return policy. The one thing you really don't want to do is not follow what you have listed in terms of your return policy. It doesn't take much to get customers upset with you, and that can be very quickly reflected in social media, and that will impact your future online as well. So stick to what you say you're going to do and make sure you follow through. Instagram shop, similarly, I'm not going to go through all of it. There were two things that I specifically wanted to talk about when we're looking at Instagram, those being shopping tags in posts. So this is what I was talking about in terms of shortening that distance between your products and your customer. Before, you'd have this, and then in your content, you'd say, hey, here's the link to the product. Click here, it'll take you to your website. Now you can actually tag your product directly in there. You can have them search for it, and boom, they're right there. So it's in the images instead of necessarily being in the text. Super important and a great way to be able to take people from your social content on Instagram directly to your product. Even better, Instagram's shopping stickers. So you can add a sticker icon into the corner of your image or your video, and you can select products that you want to feature, and you can put that sticker wherever you want. You can change the color, you can share it, and when someone clicks on it, it's going to take you right there as well. Again, two different things that I think are fairly new for some people. A really great way to be able to integrate sales into your social media in a way that's not super obtrusive, but gives people the opportunity to say, hey, I really think that's cool. Let's get more information and reduce that the number of clicks to get there. So really important on that side. So let's talk a little bit about social media strategy specific to the holiday season. What we're seeing as a great tool for you all to be thinking about, and this doesn't have to be just for people that are selling products. Create a gift guide. Even if you're selling services, if you're selling massages, or if you're selling a consultation, you can still create a gift guide. Talk about what it is that your business does and the services you offer, and highlight the key important features of that in a video. I'm going to say video over text because social media in general has shifted to video. TikTok, video. Facebook is all about video. Instagram, even Instagram, which was initially faces about pictures and connecting with people with your pictures, has become more and more associated to video. Video is the way you need to go. One of the things you can do once you kind of get your gift guides out there, align carousel ads in Facebook Manager. So you can create carousel ads in Facebook Manager that will have, whichever products you want, and kind of focus that way. So the first step will be to kind of create your target categories. You can create carousel ad from the drop-down menu. You can get more website purchases, and talk specifically about what your call to action is with the shop now button or call now, or however you want to do it. And then at the bottom, you can set the duration for how long you want it to go, what people you want it to reach, the amount of budget you want to spend, and then what account you want it tied to. So that's kind of how we set that up there. Looking specifically at social media for the holiday season, I think it's really, really important to focus on urgency. There's a reason why these businesses use like limited times, get it now, quantities are limited. The time's about to expire, and clocks and things like that, because all those things actually do make an impact on our psyche. Give people the impression that they don't have all the time in the world to think about it. Get creative and fun. Update your website with these specific references to your promotions. If you haven't used it, Canva is an amazing tool that allows you to create beautiful images for your posts. As you can see, I'm using Giphy right now to create some animated GIFs. I always tell everyone this, give credit to the people who created things. I've included the links for the artists who created these different things. I recommend you always do that. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, then you don't think it's going to look good, then you can go to stock photo websites. There's a lot of different ones out there. I personally use depositphotos.com, and Pexels is a free one. There's a couple other ones as well, but definitely look at the free ones first, see if you can get the images you need. If you can't, go to the paid ones and pay for your images. The worst thing that could happen to your business is you get sued by someone because you're pilfering images off the web. I don't recommend it. We don't do it. Definitely pay for your images, give credit when you can, and do it the right way. So what's next? We want to schedule and plan. So what I mean by that is social media doesn't mean social on the fly. Just because social media has the appearance of being off the cuff, most of the businesses, not most, all the businesses that we specifically work with take a very systematic methodology to social media. We're very careful about what we're posting, how we're posting it. We don't do things off the cuff. You want to use a social scheduling platform. Hootsuite's available, Sprout Social. We use Social Pilot at our company. It works great for bigger companies that have a lot of different moving parts and clients, but it's not necessarily the right fit for everyone. Try them all out. They all have different periods for trials, and one of them will be a good fit for you. If you're using Shopify and you're selling products, there's a tool that you should definitely look at. It's called Social Media Marketing Around. It's published by Around.io. It'll help you schedule and post products to all your social media feeds. It also is great for creating promotional videos and product collages. Highly recommend that. What you really want to do, though, when you're creating your social media strategy is create a comprehensive schedule of posts that help you organize your campaign across all the platforms that you're currently working in. The goal is obviously to engage your customers. You want to tell a comprehensive, cohesive story that is consistent across all the platforms that you're on. So I really think that these scheduling software platforms do a great job of being able to allow you to do that. You can set aside 30 minutes a week or an hour a week, put it together and do it. And that way you're just done with it and it's not going to be looming over you. But I generally do it while I'm watching football on Sundays, for my own business. And then it just makes it easy. After you've done all of that, I think it's really important to go back to what I talked about at the very beginning. I talked about setting up analytics so that you can see what's happening. Specific to Black Friday and to the holiday season, you need to be nimble and you need to be on this all the time. You need to be looking more so than what you would do with a regular social media campaign, because everything's elevated during this holiday season. What's happening on Black Friday, it takes everything and puts it on steroids. Things happening lightning fast. You need to be looking at your A/B test data, picking and choosing which ones are working better and which ones are working worse, culling the ones that are working worse, looking at the ones that are working well, updating those and making slight changes to see if some of the changes you can make can improve it or not make it. And then look specifically at your KPIs, your key performance indicator is, and figure out what are the important ones and which campaigns are impacting your KPIs the best. Look at the site traffic, check your sources, conversions, email signups, look at everything. Don't be afraid to change anything on the fly as you need to if it's not working. And even if it is working, think about what you can do to make something even better. So the way I kind of want to just rationalize this is Black Friday is a sprint. You have to be on it, going crazy, looking at everything the entire time that your sale's going on. But the entire holiday season, it is a marathon. You need to be focused and stay fixated on these key performance indicators and what you're doing and where you want to focus your attentions and make changes and do it. Be decisive. As a marketer, I can make suggestions to my clients, but at the end of the day, nobody knows your business better than you do. So if something doesn't look right, if something doesn't seem right, if you're working with a marketer and they're telling you something and it's not jiving with you, take a stand. You know your business better than anyone else. Tell people what you think and how you want to do it, and act on it, because I think it's going to make a difference. Google Ads. We talked about this with Black Friday being a sprint. Google Ads is going to be crazy when it comes to Black Friday. The impact of how things work with Google Ads for Black Friday is long-standing. Even though it's only 24 hours and you may have a very short span of when you're doing your ads, the impact of how it's going to, like what it's going to do to your Google Ads moving beyond just that is long-lived. There's such a high level of competition across the board during Black Friday. The bid pricing goes through the roof. The keywords get all thrown out of whack. People are on there like crazy. And what that does is it changes the metrics by which Google Ads is looking at things. So I really do recommend, before you get started on Black Friday and before Black Friday starts, download all your data for pre-Black Friday. Download what your bids were. Understand what you had before then. So after Black Friday is over, you still know what your baseline for everything was. I also recommend create new campaigns and separate campaigns for what your biggest sellers are, or what you think is going to be the biggest things for your ads during Black Friday. That way it won't necessarily mess and screw around with what you already had going on. So just something that you can think about, a different way to kind of do things. You don't need to use the same ads, create something different. Ideally, you would set those up a week to 2 weeks before Black Friday. You want to create these ads with specific content and use the words Black Friday. It grabs people's attentions. There's things that are called extensions within Google Ads. Specifically, use a promotion extension, use a countdown timer. Remember, we want to create that sense of urgency, showcase those things. Along with that, make changes to your website and make changes to the ads that you have running. There's things called site links in Google Ads, change them. Instead of being more general, go to specific products, the pieces that are you're most apt to want to drive people to. Don't just keep things generalized, be very specific, and then focus on what you think is going to drive the most. But as I mentioned in the last slide, just be ready to adjust. Whatever you think is going to work might not work, and just be ready to make changes. Be ready to switch from automatic bidding to manual. And if you're on manual, be ready, maybe switch to automatic. Look to see what's happening. When are you going to make your changes to increase budgets? Honestly, it's hard to tell. If you're seeing that some products are flying off the shelves and your ROI looks great, go for it. Those decisions and stop and don't stop, specific to Black Friday, it's something you just have to monitor and be on top of throughout the entire day, and be ready and have the thought in your mind, if this goes really well, how much are you willing to put into it? You don't want to be at the last minute saying, oh crap, well, this thing's going crazy. I initially budgeted $500 for my ad spend, but I blew through it in the first hour and 10 minutes and I sold a ton of product. Do you have the budget to say, you know what, I'm going to spend $10,000 on this because it's working so well. I'm willing to go that route. Know what you're going to do and have a plan for if things go well. If they don't go well, think about where you want to make changes if you need to. And all those things will just make a difference in terms of making yourself not stressed and feeling like this person who has no idea what's going to happen and how to move forward. Just plan for it. So I did want to touch on people who do have brick and mortar locations. There's a couple of places I think that are really important, even for Black Friday. One being Yelp. You can use that to update your images, your business information, be optimized, make sure everything's aligned there. There is an option to create social posts in Yelp. It's a new thing. It does cost money. I don't necessarily know that it's super worth it at this point. It's pretty new. It's not a lot of money. If you want to turn it on for like this holiday season just to get more information about your products, I don't think it's a bad idea. You're not restricted to a yearly contract. So, for a short-term thing to focus on products and align it to your Yelp page, I think it might be a great idea. It's the holiday season. You can offer Yelp deals similar to Groupon. And there's always gift cards. The gift cards are run through Yelp. They take care of everything. It's a nice, easy way for this holiday season when people are going to be looking for gift cards. And if it's not something that you currently offer, it's a great way to be able to track and handle that online and with very little effort. Other piece that I wanted to talk about specifically was Nextdoor. If you don't know what it is and you're a local business that has a brick and mortar like storefront, definitely get on it. The people on Nextdoor are highly, highly motivated, not just as consumers, but as influencers in their communities. So they're talking to people and touting up businesses that they've used and that they have had good success with. So be on there. Look to see what the conversations are on Nextdoor. I'm on there myself in my area because there are business owners and people who are constantly asking questions about, hey, I have a question about marketing or something about putting a sale forward. I answer those questions. It's a great way to connect with business owners who could be potentially your customers, or people who live in the community who may be interested in your business, to be able to connect with them. And it fosters a great community atmosphere. It's got open communication, highly recommended as an option for anybody that has a brick and mortar place. So I think that's it. I kind of want to make sure I left 10, 15 minutes for any questions. We don't have to limit those questions to Black Friday's holiday season. We can open it up to whatever, but I wanted to just, as a final pieces to touch on, this Black Friday and holiday season are definitely going to be different than anything before. Just because it is different, don't worry. There's a lot of tools out there that will help you get through it. If you have questions, I'm around. My information's on the next page. You're free to call me, email me anytime you want to about any questions you might have on your business or with setting up any of this stuff. But just remember, set reasonable expectations and plan for the worst and hope for the best. But don't be afraid to make changes. That's kind of where I wanted to end things. I think there is something else in Q&A. I'm gonna stop sharing right now, and then we can open it back up for questions. So Tiffany, yes, the presentation will be sent out, and I think Lisa, tomorrow, I think it is, when this will be available for people to be able to get. And yeah, I know that there was a lot of information that I presented. Lisa, I think there is a link to the old presentation that I did previously earlier this year in regards to looking at Google Ads and Google Analytics. I didn't touch on that here, but there's a lot of information in that previous one that kind of goes through step by step how you can kind of set those things up if people do have questions about that. And at the end, there is my contact information. You can just look me up on sbobuzz.com if you have questions, or give me a call. My phone number's listed there as well, 312-725-4574. Happy to help if you have questions or need anything else.
So yes, first of all, thank you so much for that presentation. I just want to remind people, if you have any questions, please type it into the Q&A section and we'll make sure we get that answered. I also included in the chat area the link to the Connected Commerce Council's website, so that those of you who want to see any of our additional resources that are specifically geared towards small businesses, you can do so. As Salil mentioned earlier, there's quite a few webinars and other resources there for you to view, and that will help you run more efficient operations for your small business. The second thing is, in regard to the presentation, yes, we will make sure that is sent out tomorrow, and I will also include the link to the webinar that Salil mentioned. And I'm just going to go through and see if there are any other questions. So while people are typing in their questions, Salil, I just want to ask a question about something that you mentioned early in the presentation.
Yeah.
You made the reference to Twitter, but I know you were actually referring to all platforms. So can you elaborate a little bit more on why it's important not to try a new platform now that you're not already using?
Yeah, sure. So looking specifically at Twitter, so we do a lot of work with service industry, and at the local level, we've just had a lot of challenges with our clients getting a lot of traction specifically on Twitter, whereas they've had a lot better traction focusing on Google My Business, Facebook, and Instagram. And the reason I say focus on what you're good at is because you can throw a lot of information out on Twitter and not necessarily get any feedback or anybody coming back to you if you don't have a lot of followers and you don't have a lot of influence to start out. Now, that doesn't mean don't do it, but my opinion is focus on where you have followers and you have people who are already engaging with you first, and then see what works there, and then slowly add in another social media platform and then another one. So I mean, it depends. It really does depend on what your age demographics are. If you are looking at people, 30 plus or 40 plus, you might want to start with Facebook. If you're looking at 30 and down, maybe Instagram. If you're looking at teens, TikTok, or Snapchat, definitely the way to go for those types of things. But you really want to focus and be good at one thing first before you kind of move on to a second one. And I bring up Twitter just because the client base that we generally work with has had much more challenges when they're trying to work in Twitter. And a lot of them have tried to start in Twitter and became frustrated because they weren't getting the traction that they were expecting or hoping for. So build upon your success is kind of the way I look at it.
Great, thank you for that. I know sometimes with small businesses, we tend to just jump onto certain platforms because it's trending, but that we may not be using them to the best extent that's beneficial to our business, and then we're just kind of like, well, it didn't work, but maybe we haven't taken the time to actually dive deeper into the platform to see if it's relevant to our customer base, to our target audience. So
yeah, I mean, I think like when we look, like I don't want to bash Twitter, but we've seen it again and again, and it's not just with small companies. I know bigger companies have also had challenges with Twitter. It's a hard one. If you're good at it and it works, you're great. Like Wendy's is amazing with Twitter. I mean, the way that they beat up on Burger King and McDonald's is just amazingly hilarious and just fantastic. But other companies have struggled with it. I'm not going to name names, but I know that there is at least one or two very, very large companies that had such difficulty with Twitter that they now only use it for customer service. They've stopped marketing on Twitter. They only use it for customers to rant and rave at them, and then they respond back. No more using it for actual marketing. They've decided, you know what? Let's stick to what we're good at. And if a multi-billion-dollar business can make that decision, I think all of us smaller businesses should be ready to make those types of pivots and say, hey, you know what? Let's not try to be all things to everyone. We don't have the bandwidth. Let's focus on what we're really good at and start there, and then baby steps.
That's great advice. So I want to just touch on one more thing. You talked about creating a gift guide.
Yeah.
I know since we're in holiday season and we didn't even realize that we're in it until just now.
Before Halloween, we are in the gift giving season. I mean, I went to Costco the other day and they have Christmas stuff up like a week ago. So I think everyone kind of has acknowledged that the holiday season this year in particular is starting way, way early. But sorry, continue.
No, you're fine. Actually, that's why I said we didn't know we were in it until just now. But we're obviously deep into it. So when creating those gift guides, if you are not necessarily a brick and mortar where you don't have a product, do you have any suggestions for those service providers?
Well, if you're not a brick and mortar, but you still sell products, I think that video is a great way to create a gift guide. Just say there, you can see examples of it on the web all over the place. Just type in gift guide 2020 and you'll see what people are doing in terms of selling their products. And it can be unboxing. Like, one of the things that I think is a great thing you can do is when, so one of the things that I'm really passionate about is is music and high fidelity audio. And one of the things that's happening actually this weekend is Record Store Day, which is the day that everyone goes out and waits in line to go get the latest, greatest limited edition records that are coming out from all the bands from yesteryear and today. So I will be out at 4 a.m. waiting in line in the cold here in Chicago. But one of the things that I find to be great is record stores very often will do an unboxing. And some of them have started doing it for Record Store Day. So they get their shipments in and say, hey, everybody, we're having our unboxing. Let's take a look at all these great products that we've got coming up for Record Store Day. Anyone can do that for their business as well. And if you're a service, you can say, hey, it's the holiday season. And if you're an accountant, you can say, we just finished up one round of tax season. So we're getting ready to talk about all the great services we're going to be offering for the new year and talking about the different tax codes. And you can talk about whatever products you have and whatever things you offer as your services and just put it under the guise of a gift guide. I mean, obviously, I don't think anyone's going to be offering accounting services to their spouse as a gift guide. If they do offer that as a gift, they probably won't be getting a gift the following year because the person will probably leave them. But you know, I think that, like, just going back to the record store thing, unboxing what you're getting and how things look and how excited you are about your products and your services, all that's going to get conveyed really well with video. I think more so than doing a flat image gift guide. If you do an image gift guide, make sure you're describing why things are important or exciting and that kind of way. But definitely, if you're doing it and thinking about it for Facebook or for Instagram, use video and, you know, go crazy, have fun, show your excitement. That's going to get people excited as well. If they see you're excited about something and they are as well, they're going to be even more so that they found a place that shares the passion for whatever it is that they're interested in.
Well, there we go. You have it. Thank you so much for that information. I just wanted, I think we're about at the end of our time, and I don't see any other questions in the Q&A. So I want to just give you a minute, Salil, if you could just let everyone know very quickly how they can reach you.
Yep. Let's just put the screen up again real quick. Yeah, so I'll leave this up. My information's at the bottom of the screen. You can contact me anytime you want. Just give me a call. My phone number is 312-725-4574. If you have questions specific about your business or how to do something, I'm more than happy to answer any questions and help put you on the path to figuring out whatever problem you're having, whether it be with social media or analytics or any of that stuff. Or if you need help, I always say information's free. We don't worry about charging until you actually have us do the work for you. So happy to connect with anyone. Appreciate everyone's time. And thank you. It's been a pleasure, connecting with everyone through Connected Commerce Council again.
Well, thank you so much, Salil. I appreciate your time. It was great to have you back, as always. Just wanted to share with everyone that I put into the chat the link to register for our next learning webinar, which will be on Wednesday. Just want to be clear, for next week, it has to be on Wednesday, October 28th. So make sure you register for that event on Google Analytics. So with that, I want to thank you for your time. Thank everyone for joining us, and we will see you all next week.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Will. Bye, everyone.